want to talk about two controversial dogs. You probably hear a lot about, and Bullseye and Miyagi.
Never heard of.
Let's clear it up now.
Yeah, let's clear the air on all that.
Okay. As you know,
Let's clear the air on anything. That's why I'm here.
If I got back to you, back in 2014 on the American Bully radio show, Ralphie Show, he had Peter Bullseye on there.
I have a lot of my customers and a lot of my Bullseye believers that have asked me if I can register Bullseye to, ABKC, and I did everything they asked for me, and they didn't. I mean, to me, it wasn't, no offense, and I don't like to down talk anybody, whether it is UKC or whatever it may be, or I'm sorry, ABKC. They made me do all this work, and then they still denied Bullseye, and, they told me, and I'm going to speak, straight up. This is Dave Wilson. Yep. Dave Wilson had me DNA test my dog, DNA test the mother, DNA test the father. All of that was done. Everything was done, sending through UKC. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, with no disrespect to IBKC or ABKC, but UKC did all the DNA tests. Everything came back good. They still denied Bullseye.
And he said that he was told by you, if you want to be part of Bullseye being a part of the ABKC, that he needed to be DNA profile. He said he did that through UKC DNA. Is this true?
Well, first of all, UKC DNA doesn't have anything to do with ABKC DNA. I mean, even though we're using the same company, which is probably the best company for that, they don't share.
Don't share. Okay.
They don't share. So anything you do with your own company, everything has to be done through your own company. I can't. Okay. They won't allow that. That's just their rules, not ours. So even us, same company, don't want to allow it. So by having DNA through UKC doesn't mean anything with ABKC, because they're not allowed to share different companies' information. That's just the way that company's set up. Let's back up, because that's partially true actually, but it's also misleading in how it was worded. Why don't we let's start with Miyagi, and then we'll go back to Bullseye.
Oh, you want to start with Miyagi?
Yeah, because things changed over time with the criteria. Miyagi was an earlier case prior to Bullseye, so I'd rather do it in chronological order so you can understand exactly what went down. So,
okay.
Miyagi, to be honest with you, I didn't even know who Miyagi was in the beginning. I had no clue. I had actually seen him before the show and didn't realize I had seen him. I didn't know much about Miyagi. There was controversy later on about Miyagi, and as he started to grow in popularity, more people were talking about him and doing breedings with him. He wasn't ABKC registered with us at all, so we didn't have anything through the ABKC for the dog. All of a sudden, there became, I know there was drama about the dog and people Frenchie this and that. I really don't know. I mean, the dog to me look like a product of his parents. I mean, I don't think he's got the best front. There's some things I don't like about the dog, but I don't necessarily say he's out of a French bulldog, because the dog, when I did see him, or might have seen him, he wasn't a little tiny dog. So I don't question personally the purity of his parentage. I think his parents probably are who they said they are. That's not my place, but I just looking at dogs, I'm not really, that's not my battle, and again, I didn't know a lot about Miyagi, and we didn't until he did start to grow in popularity, and then there was rumors going around, and people were starting to say things, and you could tell, Dog Wars Radio things that people were suspecting that their dogs were not off of that dog, and other semen was used, and and that's not for me to speculate. It's not my business, and the dog wasn't ABKC registered, so it had nothing to do with ABKC. What started to happen were people were sending in DNA challenges to the ABKC to challenge him. People that bought semen from the dog or did breedings with the dog, and the ABKC's response was, that dog's not registered with us, nor are your dogs. So there's nothing we can do in this situation, And it went on for a long time. I think that response sparked something that says the dog cannot be registered. And it sparked that whole thing, and some battle and issues went on. And apparently there was something between me and George, and I hadn't even met the guy. I didn't know the guy, had no animosity towards the guy, really didn't think anything about the dog at all, wasn't really a factor in my mind at the time. and it went on for a while, and I've heard all these things, it's just business and all this stuff. I'm not a dog breeder for profit. I barely breed anyway, so I'm like, I'm not in the business of competing with other dog breeders for money, and to say the registry was in competition, something was stupid, because the registry makes money on registrations. That's how the registries work. You register your dog. That's the business of it. So the more registrations you take, that will be more profitable for a company. So that concept didn't make sense. None of these things made sense to me at all. But whatever, people run with crazy stuff. So anyway, after a long time, somebody contacted me. They're like, "Would you mind talking to George for me? Because this craziness has been." I said, "I have no problem. Tell him to call me or whatever." So I called him up, and he talked to me, and we talked, and I was like, I have no problem with you. I never did have a problem with you. I don't even have a problem with your dog. But the problem is if you want to register your dog, you're going to have to provide DNA with the dog, because there's so many people questioning this and sending in stuff. The second that your dog's going to have ABKC registration, we're going to, at that point, have other people registering that are going to be submitting DNA challenges on your dog. So if you want to register your dog with ABKC, provide the DNA of the dog. Now, I know people say, well, you can't get the DNA of the dog because the mother's dead and buried. The guy who owned the father wouldn't allow the DNA without paying some fee or something, whatever the room was. That doesn't apply to the individual dog. That's that dog's DNA back to its parents. We were just saying get his DNA.
His DNA.
That way, when there is that, you can say, go through the company and say, no, your dog is off of this dog. Your dog is an offspring of this dog. Or this dog, semen that you got paid for the dog is, that's what it's for. So send him the kit. Even contacted the brother. You guys had the brother and told him, link them together, everything. Send him the kit, everything. Never heard from him again. Kit never came back. Never heard from him again. So what happened is, at that point, anything off the dog, basically he denied, he sent in his application to register. Denied registration, because if you deny a DNA challenge or a DNA request, we're not going to register your dog. If we're requesting DNA on your dog, then you need to supply the DNA. And in this case, this was the reason, was because of all the challenges and everything, and we wanted to make sure the dog's DNA profiled before we registered the dog. That was the only thing, hang up with the dog. So for the longest time, it was just froze, and anything out of the dog was not accepted because of the DNA challenge. Not because we questioned the dog, just because the refusal of the DNA challenge. No personal beef with the guy whatsoever. And to this day, I still really don't have a personal beef with him. I don't, As time went on, my personal opinion, the look of the dogs and offspring completely changed. I think the original stuff was the original stuff. I think later on they've gone another direction, which is pretty obvious if you watch stuff. So, in recent years, we made an exception for certain things, that if your dog was denied registration, not because it was deemed that it wasn't an American Bully, but if it was maybe you didn't have the right pedigree that we accepted as far as the company, or in this case, a dog's DNA was frozen, but you had offspring from the dog. There's a few exceptions that we made, that we will give a temporary thing where if you take your dog to a senior judge, get it physically inspected, the dog passes all the requirements for a conformationally correct American Bully to our standards. You provide your pedigree lineage, you provide DNA of the dog. All of these things, we have a small window where we will accept more dogs into the database, into the brood stock under those criteria. Miyagi dogs fit those criteria. So, and there's quite a few that got registered and were inspected and are nice quality specimens. That's the situation with that stuff. Bullseye, I don't know if you have any more Miyagi questions, because it's really not glamorous, and I've heard all these things, but it's just simple. I mean, that's what it is. Bullseye, on the other hand, same thing, was asked and said you would have to provide DNA. Nowadays, questionable dogs and dogs like that, we do. Like, part of our criteria nowadays is, because there's an influx of dogs that are carrying traits too far outside of the American Bully. There's an influx of dogs that have bulldog traits. I mean, it's there. We had to change the standards to try to eliminate that. You can't remove certain things from a breed once it's already there. But you can eliminate it from happening further. You can make your criteria stricter. You can put new emphases on the criteria to try to eliminate those things from happening. And a part of what we do now, it doesn't matter if your dog has the correct pedigree, the correct lineage. That's just a piece of what it takes to register as an American Bully. We're talking single registration, new registration into the database. So aside from that, we have photo inspections. We need 3 pictures of your dog, because we want to look at the dog and say the dog fits all the traits to be an American Bully. It's not carrying traits that are too much from a Bulldog or too much of a Pit or Terrier. Even though the pedigree is correct, the registry is accepted, you know, we still want to see the photos because we want to make sure that that dog has the look of this breed. It's not carrying traits outside of this breed on either way, you know. It used to be in the past there were more pit bull things we had to watch for. Now we have to watch for more Bulldog stuff. It's just the way the breed went. So we added the photo to try to eliminate that. And that's another part of it. To go even further, a lot of times DNA is required. You also must provide DNA of your dog. That way we have that on file so the next generation we can always go back and say that is from your dog. So there's a lot of different aspects of what the criteria is. The dogs also can't have really bad deformities. The dogs really can't be. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that we add. Really poor, you know, care. You know, like we see a dog that's just in bad condition, in bad shape. They're going to deny the registration for that purpose because number one, we don't want a lot of health defects. Number one, we don't want to be registering dogs and have people affiliated with us that aren't taking care of their dogs. There's a lot of different reasons why they deny single registration into the breed now, and yes, Bullseye was told that you need to have DNA. That's in addition to the photos and everything else. The dog, unfortunately, when was reviewed, is carrying traits completely outside of our breed. The dog is not up to the standard of what an American Bully is. The dog is definitely, and no offense to the guy, I mean, the dog is unique to itself, and it's you know, it's a thing, and it became a popular thing, and whatever he did. That's, you know, that's his thing. And I'm not knocking him, nor am I knocking his dog or what he did. It just doesn't fit the criteria of what an American Bully is. Personally, I feel that the dog, if you ask my personal opinion, resembles a shorty breed. I would say that the dog is made up of that makeup, but that's just me. Bottom line is with the company, I'm not the person that does it anyway. The company looks at the pictures and says, this dog is carrying way too many traits outside of the breed. It doesn't possess the correct breed traits, and the dog was denied for that purpose. So that dog was denied, which means nothing out of that dog is eligible for registration. You know, and that's why that came to be.
Yeah, just wanted to clear up those two matters, talking about those two dogs people talk about a lot. Let's get into now.
And just to add to that, like, I always hear these rumors like, I got a beef with the people, or it's about competition, or it's about money. First of all, I have no beef with any of those people. I have no beef with George. I have no beef with Bullseye's owner. In fact, I met the guy at Nationals one year, and nice guy. You know, I have no beef with either one of those guys, regardless of what public tries to do. And on the other side, it'd be more financially advantageous to accept everything, you know. So it's not about money, and it's not about competition. I'm barely a breeder. I just brought a new dog out recently, so breeding wasn't a business of mine or something that I was worried about. So all those things are stupid, dumb rumors. They don't even make any sense. It's irrelevant. It was for exactly what I stated. And again, it's just some people want to make things more, I don't know, glamorous and do all these other things to it, but that's just flat out what it was.